Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast number 672. This episode of the Nerdist Podcast is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate is a monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer gear and pop culture stuff. For less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, unique one-of-a-kind items, and more. I have a subscription to it. I'm actually wearing the pretty amazing D&D shirt that they sent. There was also some cool Game of Thrones magnets, and then a Stark Sigil USB drive. So that came in the latest box along with some other stuff. The stuff's all really cool. And if you don't want it for yourself, give it to people. It makes great gifts. All right? It's like a friend who knows what you love, and they will surprise you with awesome presents every month. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific each month to subscribe and receive that month's crate. When the cutoff happens, it's over. Head to lootcrate.com/Nerdist and enter the code Nerdist to save 10% on any new subscription. They also ship to Canada, Australia, and the UK with more info on their site. So do it. Everything you get will be worth more than $40. So you're getting more than double what you're spending back each month. And it's really nice. If you had a crappy day and you forgot that you subscribed, then you get this really cool box. And it's a good experience. So I highly recommend it. Lootcrate.com/Nerdist. Enter the promo code Nerdist. Let's go to the community cork board. That's events@nerdist.com if you want to be added to this. Events@nerdist.com. One of our listeners hosts a podcast called The Historian's Movie Review. He looks at history through the lens of film and reviews film in the context of the historical events and topics in the film. Find it at historiansmoviereview.libsyn.com. Also, if you're into 3D printing, laser cutting, and more, check out HexLab Makerspace in LA. It's a community workspace in Los Angeles for people to come and learn and build and have fun with other like-minded makers. To learn more about it, go to hexlabmakerspace.com. And we are doing a beta test on Monday, the 11th of May, 9 p.m. at Meltdown, at NerdMelt, our space over there. So go to nerdmeltla.com for tickets. Even if it says sold out, there's always a standby line and everyone gets in. So check it out. It's a week from today, Monday the 11th, over at NerdMelt. This episode is Mr. Kevin Pollak. Kevin, who has been a dear friend of mine for quite a while now, a fine podcaster, a wonderful comedian and actor. He made this movie called Misery Loves Comedy, which is all about sort of the psychological state of mind of what it means to be a comedian. He's interviewed so many wonderful people in this documentary, and I'm in it too. So wonderful people, and then me, but a lot of people that are very relevant to your interests that you will love. So check it out. It's available now on all the digital platforms. Misery Loves Comedy, directed by Kevin Pollak, who is a lovely, lovely man. This episode is also brought to you by Stamps.com. Stop going to the damn post office. I have to keep saying it because I think some of you are still doing it. Because if you weren't, I wouldn't have to say it anymore, and there wouldn't be post offices. It would just be automated places. Go to Stamps.com. You sign up and buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your desk. Use your computer or printer, and you can save up to 80% compared to a postage meter. And then you'll avoid those time-consuming trips that you don't need to have. So use Stamps.com. There's a no-risk trial, $110 bonus offer, including a digital scale and up to $55 of free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Nerdist. That is Stamps.com. Enter the promo code Nerdist. Here's episode number 672 with Kevin Pollak. Okay, to start that thing.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Chance to see did they send you the Oh, he's shaking his head. Yeah,
I did. Well, I'll tell you what, they didn't. Maybe they sent it to me. I just bought it on iTunes.
You motherfucker,
because
you're a giver.
I like to support.
Yeah, I hear you. Me too.
So I bought it on iTunes and I watched it last night, and
oh wow,
it was really fun.
So,
I mean, like,
you know what, save it for the show.
We're already recording.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
First of all,
yes, sir.
It's shocking to me that we've been doing this podcast for 5 years. Like, that freaks me out because it still feels like, oh, it's just a thing that we. And I just remembered that you're on one of the episodes that we had to do over.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah.
Oh, the gang's half here.
Yeah, it's a reunion tour from the first time at my table.
I was just remembering Kevin is one of the couple of episodes that we had to do over. I think there were 2 episodes we had to do over.
Still have that on the...
you and Doug Benson, and because the equipment got stolen. Was that what it was?
Yeah, it's still on my Honda Civic.
The equipment got stolen in the Honda Civic, and so all we had was an iPhone at the time.
We used 2 iPhones.
And it
didn't work out.
It didn't work out well. The iPhones from 5 years ago didn't record sound as well.
Some really fat jeans.
Came to your house.
Dining room table.
Yeah, so we had to call you and say, I'm really sorry to say this, but you know all that time you spent.
You did a great job of pretending it was all fresh.
It was all the different stories.
That's crazy. You know, I don't know that we've had a do-over in the 6 years of my little wildly less popular podcast.
KPCS?
We were one of the first and one of the long-standing least popular. Well, I think it's because I insist
one of the
on
fastest to go from pay to not pay.
Yeah, exactly. From not pay to not pay.
Hey, everyone, you like this show? Well, would you like to pay for it? Everyone would love to do
I don't
that.
like it anymore.
Fuck you, Kevin Pollak. You're worse
How dare you?
It was we were up to 1 million downloads month maybe or a week. I can't even remember because it's been so long. We really were swinging, and So someone said, well, what if you charge like, I don't know, 99 cents for 25 of them, not even for one.
Yeah.
You know, just so the paywall on iTunes, and I had to sit down with the iTunes fellas, who I'm sure you know, and they said, well, you know, we've never charged for a podcast. And I said, right. You charge for music. You destroyed the record label business.
for a 4-minute song, 99 cents for 4 minutes.
Right, exactly. So you see how it all works out on paper.
You're talking 25 hours of content.
Well, technically almost 40 or 50 because, you know, mine tends to go a little long-winded, so we average closer to 2 hours per. So it was really ridiculous. And across the board, the Internet said, fuck you. It was fantastic. And within 10 days, I went back on my show and said, you're right. I'm an asshole. It's free again.
Reminds me of the Jackie Gleason story that he did that show. He did some show in the 60s, like a game show. They did one episode, and people uniformly did not like the show, so he came on next week, and he said, really sorry about that. So now this is just going to be a chat show. And then for the rest of the show, they didn't cancel him because he had a commitment. So he just had his friends on, and they just chatted. It became a chat show.
Jesus, that's
so you know you're listening to your audience, but
well,
kind of shitty on their part not to be like, hey, here's $1 for 50 hours of entertainment.
Because it was 6 years ago, I think also the podcast world was so new that people
no one knew what to do.
If you think they have choices now, they certainly had enough choices then to say, well, all these other ones are free. Why would I?
It's very hard to go from free to.
I remember talking to you about it, and you said, yeah, it's kind of promotional for everything else I'm doing, and I said, yeah, you're right, but buddy, I got a machete in each hand, and I'm going through the jungle, and if you would just stand by, and I totally understood why you and Marin and a few others said, good luck, buddy. You know, it was, and it turns out there's no correct way to do any of this shit, just the way, the ones we choose.
Yeah, for me, it was, I never really thought about trying to make money from the podcast initially. It was just I wanted to reach the widest audience possible. And I knew that
clearly
a paywall would cut our audience down significantly. And so I just didn't – it was more important for me to get people to like the show so they would come out and see us live and all that stuff. But I still don't know if anger and hate is really the way. Like when you're a guy who's making a lot of content, like – hey, $1 for 25 shows like that. To me, I completely understand why you would go, well, that's not crazy. It's totally.
Also, it was the only and remains the only form of entertainment that is free on this level. You know, I mean, true.
It is crazy.
No, I mean, so that's why I said to the iTunes guys when I met with them, because they said, they finally got to the point where they hemmed and hawed, and finally they said, we don't have the code for you to charge for your podcast. It's not even written. So we wouldn't even, so that took, I don't know, 8-10 weeks for them to get someone to actually write the code so that a podcast could charge, because within their system, the algorithm wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. So they said, well, in trying to talk me out of it, they said, so, why? And I said, well, you charge for music, you charge for TV, you charge for movies, you charge for books, you charge for every single form of entertainment except for this. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like I'm getting a big, cold, wet, dead fish in my face of a slap, and as a thank you for all this effort from you. So, anyways, it was much more important for the audience to tell me "fuck you" than for iTunes to tell me "fuck you." So I beat the system. I got them to write the code. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And every now and then, I'll be reminded. But you saw the film. Let's go back to that.
Yeah, no. People will pay for that.
They already have. We're doing extremely well on iTunes. Yeah, we shot to number one on documentaries within 2 days, and now have only been bested by documentaries that have been reduced to 99 cents. There's a couple of those, and they tend to do a little bit better. Speaking of the 99 cent model.
I hadn't... my girlfriend's mom saw it a few days ago, and she said, "Oh, my mom saw the comedy documentary you're in, and she said you're really great in it." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." So then we watched it last night, and then I'm mortified when I realized that one of the things you used of me was me talking about the time I masturbated in a church once.
Yeah, that was fun for your future ex-mother-in-law. Yeah.
So I really, afterwards I was like, "I'm sorry, you'd have to," and she was like, "I don't care." I mean, she was super cool,
Yeah, I just love that Patty Hearst knows you're a creeper.
Yeah. Well, now everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
And by the way, you're welcome. Because I feel like I did you and your relationship a solid by forcing this out of you and into the conversation.
Now it's out, but
Yeah.
it was totally.
You don't have to worry about that one. That secret is no more.
The funny part about it is that I feel like it sort of did. I mean, I guess it sort of came out of the idea of comics tackling uncomfortable things.
Yeah, when Matt Walsh later says, "I made a girl cry in college."
Yeah.
And I feel bad. It's a real powerful moment. And the truth is, the original thesis, "You have to be miserable to be funny," became the third act. When I had 70 hours of material to edit a 94-minute from, and with no script and no narrative, I kind of had to create one. And in the process, the first two acts were getting to know these people and getting to give a shit about what they do and why they chose this life and what they've gone through. And then the third act is how miserable do you have to be. But we've sort of been seeing all along whether they're miserable or not.
I mean, it could have been a series. Like it could have been like a 5 or 6 part HBO doc about comedy.
That's in the works.
Oh, good.
Not necessarily with them, but yeah. No,
But someone.
Tribeca Films bought the movie at Sundance where we premiered and talks of the series version. Again, with 70 hours of material, it's a little ridiculous.
I mean, that must have been an embarrassment of riches. I love this, but I can't.
You can't fathom.
Yeah.
Because it's also puzzle pieces where there's no photograph of the puzzle made on the side of the box.
No.
They're just puzzle pieces. And there's no, you talk about no correct path, just the one we choose. Mm-hmm. Dear Lord.
Yeah.
I cut 17 versions before I showed it to anyone, and then 27 more. I cut for 10 months, and I would have continued to this day if the Sundance submission deadline hadn't stopped me.
Oh my god!
Because there's just, and also we've sat next to editors in our careers as they push the buttons. I had never sat in the vacuum alone and pushed the buttons. That I highly recommend. It is extraordinary. It's the final rewrite that you've never thought. In my case, I've always heard directors say that editing was the final rewrite. In my case, I think it was the original script, because again, there wasn't one when I went in. So I had to write the script in editing and then rewrite it. It was
kind of like a reality show. You get a bunch of footage and then you sort of.
The original reality shows. Now the reality.
That's not how they work anymore.
Now they're
Chris.
scripted ahead of time.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes.
By consultants.
My non-union,
not in the
consultants.
guild.
What does Jamie say when she's quoting The Simpsons? My non-union equivalent, my non-union Mexican equivalent. I think was the Simpsons quote. But it's El Spielbergo.
Spielbergo. Yeah. But that is a tremendous. I mean, I feel like I would buckle from the weight of having to make those kinds of decisions, because you have. I mean, it's pretty much everyone that you would want to see talking about comedy. Who was it? Was there
That was the thing. Also, was wanting to include everyone, because it was pretty much going to be whoever said yes is who I put in the schedule. We had to have an actual shooting schedule of 4 straight weeks, 5-day consecutive 4 weeks. And whoever was available in those 4 weeks, 1 week in New York, 3 weeks in LA, is who we got, right? So with the podcast, you're constantly booking this thing. So it's one of the reasons that they wanted me to direct the movie, because I could reach talent. But we had 25 people say yes, and were slotted in when we started to shoot.